Welcome to FPB's Meet the Candidates. This Cable 10 series allows you, the viewer, to get a closer look at our local candidates as we discuss issues that are important to our community. We've gathered questions via social media and through email. We've talked to different groups around town, and we've gathered questions about topics that are important to us, and we're here to discuss them today with one of our local candidates, and this is all leading up to the general election, which is on November 8th, so we will encourage you to go vote. First thing we need to do, though, is get a little bit informed. We're going to do that today with Gary Stratton, and he is running for state representative of the 57th District. So I want to welcome you, Gary, and thanks for coming.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
First thing I want to do is give you the opportunity to introduce yourself. Tell us just a little bit about who you are and why you're running for state rep.
Great. Well, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to be here. Of course, I'm from just a little bit south here, down in Harrodsburg. That's where I was born and raised in Salvisa. But I've been an educator all my life in some form or fashion, either a financial advisor, which I still do on the side, or an educator, again, almost all of my life. I love economics, finance, teaching people about that, economic literacy, financial literacy. So that's what I've dedicated my life to, basically, is doing that. But I did grow up on a farm. I've used to be an electrician a little bit back in high school, so I've done a little bit of the trades as well. So grew up, again, agriculture. So I have a blend of a lot of things I've done. So of course, here in Frankfort, for 6 years now, I've been teaching at Kentucky State, finance and economics. I'm now the chair of the School of Business, and we have a lot of great opportunities, which I'll hopefully get to later on, hopefully in the program today, about what we can do there. We have so much opportunity and so much potential. So again, I'm involved in a lot of things locally. I like where I was before I moved back home here. I was away for a little while, then I came back to take care of my aging parents. And again, I've always been back here a lot, but I've always been involved wherever I'm at. And again, we always have to give back. So that's what I like to do, and I'll hopefully get to talk about that more throughout the program.
Okay. Can you tell us what experience you have that you think has prepared you to get things done in the legislature?
Well, again, of course, being an educator, I've of course looked at and I teach economics and finance, so that's my specialty, I guess. Mm-hmm. But also, I've worked in all kinds of programs and being of agriculture and being in trades. I know a lot of folks in a broad range of skills. So I feel I can relate to a lot of people. Mm-hmm. I think I'm very good about bringing people together, forming partnerships. I'm not divisive. I'm usually a person that can usually get people to talk and work together. So I think that would be good. And so again, being where I do it with education or working with community groups or trying to develop, we have a local incubator. We're trying to business incubator and makerspace. We work with a lot of different individuals. Mm-hmm. So I can reach out to different groups. So I think that'd be good for the legislature.
Okay, yeah, because we're talking about reaching out to different groups.
Right.
Because some people would say that we're at a time of political divide. Mm-hmm. So what experience do you have that has prepared you to get things done in a politically divided legislature? Mm-hmm. And you would be a new member, so how would that be an advantage to you?
Well, of course, I know we're divided now, but of course we don't have duels like they did 200 years ago.
Thank goodness.
So we're not that divided. But we do have a lot of different ideas, and
sure.
People don't seem to want to give any on either side, and that
Mm-hmm.
seems to be a problem. I think I'm one of those that likes to compromise to some extent.
Mm-hmm.
We got to get some things done, so I would like to bring that to the table. Mm-hmm. And what I've done in the past and working with groups like the things I'm dealing with now, I'm able to deal with different types of people, and they seem to be comfortable with me. So hopefully that would come across. There's some things I won't bend on, of course, but some things there are some wiggle room. So hopefully we can get along.
Okay. Has there been a time when you've shown independence from your party on an issue of major importance?
Yes, there's, of course, not officially. I've never been a politician. I still don't. I'm a business person, educator. That's what I want to be known as.
You're running for election.
Yeah, right. So, but again, there are some things that I'm for freedom. I would like to see us have, and some people disagree with me on this, but I'd like to see us at least have the right to vote on expanded gaming. We can vote it down. I don't care. I'm open about that.
Okay.
At least give the people the right to vote on it. If we vote it down, that's fine, or for it, whatever we want to do. It's just we've been working on this for about 25, 26 years.
Yeah.
Since Indiana. We've been toying with surveys and just what do we do, and we've been inching toward it and doing some things. Maybe that's not constitutional like we did last time. The legislators voted to work with expanded, the so-called slots, and
Right.
was that even legal? I don't know. Some people
Yeah.
say yes, some people say no.
Right.
Let's just put it on the ballot and get it done with.
Okay. Well, that's a question that I was going to ask, and I'm going to mark off now.
Okay, so
So, what do you think is the biggest issue facing the district right now?
well, of course, I've always I believe in living up to our potential. So to me, it's about using education, motivation. To me, I'm a motivator, educator, and a business person. So I like to motivate people to do the best they can. And Kentucky has never, well, nobody ever lives up to their potential, but we have a lot more we can do in Kentucky as well. Of course, Frankfort, obviously, plenty of opportunities. And I think one of my mottos is I'll have a stronger voice. I mean, if you look at this district, we've had the same leadership for a long time, and the legislature went another direction. So if you want a stronger voice to bring things back, that's what I'm here for. So there's a lot of possibilities. That I've been putting out stories about a veterinary school of medicine I'd like to see, a conference center, / school of business building at KSU, whether it's anything whether the mayor and the commissioners or the county judge executive magistrates would want, that would be up to them because that's the local decisions. But hopefully someone in the legislature that will have the majority's ear, I guess you could say.
Sure.
I would be able to get more done. Whether
Okay.
I can, I don't know. I can't promise anything, but I would have a stronger voice to bring those for me.
Yeah, we're talking about how the Republicans have supermajority in
That's
both
correct.
chambers.
That's correct.
And so, how do you navigate those waters, and would you feel any kind of obligation to reach across the aisle for any issues?
Well, yeah, I mean, because, again, there's already a supermajority. So having one more is not going to make any difference on some issues. So, what I would bring to the aisle, I think, or to the local community and to the Commonwealth, actually, is, I'm more independent. I like to, like I've already told you one thing that I disagree with some. The House is a little more liberal on those issues on expanded game. At least I haven't have the people have the vote on it, of course. Whether you're for it or not, it doesn't matter. But again, I think I could bring that voice to the legislature that has been there for several years. I know my opponent had the voice there for a while, but the past few years has not. So no matter what you propose, it's just not going to get any traction.
Okay. Well, that seems sad.
I should say no traction, maybe less traction. I
Okay.
guess. Yeah.
Well, let's get into some issues. Frankfort is the home to more state retirees than any other community,
correct.
as you well know. The only authority to grant a cost of living adjustment lies with the Kentucky General Assembly.
Correct.
Last time that happened was 2011.
Exactly.
Some retirees believe they are paying the price for lawmakers' past fiscal mismanagement of their pensions. As the legislator who will represent these folks, what kind of commitment can you make regarding protecting the state retirement fund and supporting a cost of living adjustment?
Again, as I walk neighborhoods, I teach finance.
Yeah.
So again, nothing like this is going to happen overnight. But you can, you haven't had a COLA in 11 years. It's going to take a little while to catch up.
Yeah.
So, but we can, do a 2% here, 3% there. Again, that would have to be discussed in the future, but it can be made up. It's just going to take time. It won't happen in the next session or maybe 3 sessions, but it will happen over time. For is assuring that it's going to be endowed. That's going to be something we're going to have to. We've already started doing that with the teachers program, so that's closer, I think, to fully being endowed or funded. The other system, I guess, is in much dire state, of course, and it will take longer to do that. And of course, it's an obligation we have to fulfill. So we wouldn't have any. We can't say we won't.
Yeah.
We have to.
Yeah.
So we'll basically have to find money some other place, or just keep funding it at 100% plus some, and promise to. I guess we could work out some timetable. Maybe we could try to work out that 11 years of COLAs that hasn't happened. We could, whether it be 10 years, 12, whatever it take to make that up. Yeah, I don't. Maybe something we'd have to work on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've already said it's a shame and sad that we've gotten in this shape over the past several years.
Yeah. The Kentucky legislature approved 8% across-the-board raises for state government workers this year. However, educators across the state are disappointed that the General Assembly did not approve an adequate increase in state funding for across-the-board raises for teachers. Do you feel the legislature risks worsening a teacher shortage in Kentucky that we have that weakens our education system?
Well, that pay is one of the draws that keeps people here or brings people, of course. So of course, that's something we're going to have to address, and need to look at average teacher pays around us as well as other states beyond that, and see what we can do to bring ours up to that, and look at our cost of living as well, and how that is it close to states around us, which I think it is fairly close.
Yeah.
But we need to look at. Of course, they basically give the flexibility to the counties and the independent school systems to do what they wanted. I would hope that school systems would, and some have raised their salaries substantially to meet that.
Yeah.
And we need to, I guess, make sure others do, or if it takes a little funding, we need to do that. And
Okay.
I think we're in a position to do that now.
Yeah, the state has a record amount of money in the rainy day fund and the surplus. Is that an option for you, something that you would support to put some of that money towards teachers?
Well, yeah, I think so. Yeah, because inflation is happening, as we know, but we have more of a sales tax driven economy, which is inflation happens, our sales taxes will go up. So that's just an automatic driver there. So I think we'll have money to maybe add some to the counties and independent school systems to make sure they make it put it towards salaries. Yeah.
Okay. There were changes made to the tax code this year, moving toward a more consumption-based tax code, ending the sales tax, expanding the sales tax and reducing individual income taxes. What is your opinion of those moves, and how would you plan on being involved in discussions in the future about the tax code?
Right. Well, of course, the key is to be competitive. We're finally competitive to Ohio. Indiana is a little less than 4% income tax. We're still not there yet. People can move across state lines very easily. I saw, from the floods from eastern Kentucky, a lot of people, or some of them I saw, are moving to Tennessee. Why? They have no state income tax. And our sales tax is lower than theirs. So as we move, again, in the short order is I am for more of a simplified tax system, of course, and one that is more competitive to states around us. So I would like to see us at least get 3.5% income tax. That would be just below Indiana's.
Okay.
So that if we can go lower, that's fine too. But I don't see us raising the sales tax. It's 6% and keep it off of food. We're very competitive there. So if we can grow our economy through, again, from CNBC's business-friendly states, we have moved in the past 4 years from the 40s to the 20s. I think that is positive, and I think that's because the last 5 years or so we've worked on regulations. Our tax system's gotten much simpler. Well, I don't know if it's simpler, but it's just lowered the rates for corporations and individuals that have made us more business friendly. And I think that's been one of the drivers that people are looking at as they're bringing businesses here, or hopefully creating more businesses here.
Okay. An education bill that passed this year was Senate Bill 1, which had a provision to give district superintendents the power to set curriculum and hire principals. And that responsibility had previously been with the School-Based Decision-Making Council.
Right.
Why was that important to do?
Again, I still like the freedom to, one person shouldn't have the sole responsibility of that. I don't think I would hope the superintendents would be reaching out to find out, what people are looking for in their communities, whether it be the school board. I would hope there'd be more than just the superintendent involved in that. It should be the school board at least, and reaching out to, look at the curriculum and getting some input from meetings. I guess it was to make it simplify the process. I guess in the past, I don't know if that I need to look into that. What was wrong with the school-based councils? Maybe they were. Again, I need to look into that. I apologize. Yeah. So
that bill also had a provision added to it that added restrictions on how history can be taught, especially concerning race.
Right.
Directing educators to teach American history in a way some teachers and historians says whitewashes the role of racism in shaping society. It also includes a list of historical documents that middle and high school must embed in their curriculum. Do you have any concerns about these restrictions or that this provision inserts itself into the decision-making of local school districts?
Yeah, I would look at those more closely. I'm a firm believer in teaching all of history, of course, the good and the bad.
Yeah.
We've had some things in our history that are again we're not proud of, but many all in all we're an imperfect country, a country that's trying to be perfect, right? We always will be. We will never be perfect. No country is, but we're moving. We're always striving for that. If you look back from the 17 to 1800s, we're always striving. We're not there, far from it, obviously, and never will get there.
Yeah.
But there will always be a few people that we don't are undesirables, I guess. But there's always a few of those that have that anger in them. But I think we're getting better and better each generation, and I think we need to move toward that. And of course, we always want to teach the history that is good and bad. But again, I think the problem has been in the divisiveness is maybe maybe a few of the curriculum or parts of the curriculum that deal with trying to pit one group against another group. Maybe they may want to selectively go in and take some of those things out. Because I think that's been the problem, is trying to make people feel guilty. A kid that's 8 years old doesn't know how to think about these things. They just love the other kids. Racism starts. Well, it's learned. Kids are not racist. It's learned from other people, and we know that. So again, we don't want to pit kids against each other, because that sort of does that. I think it kind of makes them feel guilty, or starts some ideas we don't want to have in them. So I think we need to look selectively at those things and maybe take out some of those parts that are divisive.
Okay. Excuse me. Senate Bill 83, passed by the legislature this year, bans trans girls from participating in girls' sports from 6th grade through college. Do you support that measure, and do you see any future consequences to this, like lawsuits, or how it affects the children?
Well, I mean, it could be both ways, lawsuits in both ways, because I know there's some girls that want to compete against actual females, not females that are transitioning, or males that are transitioning. So there's problems on both sides of that. So both the bodies are different, as I think has been, as we know. So I think that's probably some unfair advantages we've seen from the famous case from Pennsylvania, of course. So there is, I think, merit in the bill to make sure that there's correct competition between males and males and females and females. So I'm okay with a bill like that, and again, get beyond high school and college. I guess it's fair game, of course, but during those competitions, and I think there's some issues there that we still need to address. So I guess I'm for that bill. I'm for freedoms for adults to do what they want. That's their business to do what they want. But then again, we're talking about high school kids, especially going below that, and then of course in the college as well. And I think the NCAA will have to chime in eventually. They haven't much yet,
right? But
they will eventually have to address this
for sure. Our next issue, it's the big one right now. It's happening. The Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade. And that means that responsibility has now fallen onto the state legislature.
That's correct.
So what do you see as the legislature's role regarding reproductive health care, and do you think that is an appropriate role?
Well, again, it depends on, it is a divisive issue. I am of course, my religion says that, I'm pro-life, obviously, but there are exceptions, anytime a girl is an issue with their health, that's going to be, there's a right to have an abortion, of course, and maybe some other issues too. We need to look at those issues and see what. There's definitely cases that it should be, but then of course you have there's two lives involved in this. So again, it depends on how you look at it, but there's two lives involved in here. Even if the life is the unborn is still something wrong, there's still the Disabilities Act that we have to deal with. They have a right to live as well. So I see that as again, it's a states' rights issue, so I'm okay with that. And unless I have some other compelling evidence that would show me otherwise, I'll be pro-life. Except there's a lot of cases that we'd need to carve out there.
Okay. Well, there is an amendment on the ballot this year. So I want to ask you if you can help explain what the Yes for Life amendment is, and why or why not you support it.
Well, I support that. It's mostly about the funding aspect, I think, and just
Okay.
make sure that I think it's still the legislators will still have the right to do whatever they want to do. So it can still make it. It's still the legislature will still have a right to go either way in the future. So it's I think it's more about the funding aspect. My understanding.
Okay. Is that something you support?
I would support yes. Mhm.
Okay. So why is it important to have it as a constitutional amendment?
Well, I guess that just finishes the question. That's what I want to do about the expanded gaming too. Let's finish that question about the in this case funding of abortions by government or whatever. So that would end that question.
Okay. When the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade, Justice Clarence Thomas wrote in a concurring opinion that SCOTUS should reconsider all of this court's substantive due process precedents. And that would it covers some civil rights issues and some LGBTQ issues, including Obergefell versus Hodges. That would mean that big decisions, if they rolled back, would come back to the state legislature. Do you believe states? Well, let's go back to Obergefell versus Hodges. Do you believe states should recognize marriages between same-sex couples?
Again, well, my religious beliefs, I don't understand it, but that's the freedom of the couple. I mean, I mean, a lot of
As
people
adults.
don't. Some of my friends don't like what I think about that. but
Right.
I have a lot of friends, not a lot, but I've got a few friends that are same-sex couples, and they are very nice. And it's been around for many years now, so I would have difficulties, even though I don't understand it and I don't believe in it.
Yeah.
Again, that's where the Republican side of me, the freedom side, would say, again, I'm not going to infringe on your rights. Then I would say don't infringe on others' rights too. I like the Florida bill, which I think goes through grade 3 or 4, where you have to, don't confuse kids. When the things they see in their families,
Yeah.
they're not old enough to understand the issues, of homosexuality or whatever.
Right.
So keep it out of the 3, 4th grade at least, so up to that level. So again, there's some things on both sides they need to compromise. I think both sides need to work together to come up with a better understanding of each other.
Yeah.
So again, so my final answer, I guess, I don't understand it, and I don't, whatever, I would be okay with the freedom of letting the states do that, and then I would be okay with some again the freedoms for certain things. Yes.
Okay. The General Assembly, as far as the public is concerned, should always be looking for ways to generate more revenue.
That's correct.
In order to keep future tax increases to a minimum.
Right.
We talked about the sports betting.
Right.
Because again, it's something that had traction within the last couple of years, and that just never quite made it to the finish line. Another issue is medical marijuana. In March of this year, the Kentucky House of Representatives voted 59-34 to pass a medical cannabis bill, and it's the second time the full House ever voted on the issue, and the second time that it passed.
Right.
Senate leadership refused to assign the bill to a committee.
Right.
First of all, do you agree with the leadership's decision to do that? And then where are you on the issue?
Well, of course, I'm with the House leadership.
Right.
I do like Mr. Osborne. I think
Right.
he's done a good job, and so I am for the right to at least look at it. We're doing research on it, and again, that's continued. I would like to see it probably passed with restrictions like prescribed, like opioids or whatever. It should be highly regulated, of course, at the pharmacy level. So it has its uses, seems like. I know now that we have this bill it's being studied in the UK, so I guess we need to just follow through with that.
Right.
So if that, so the researchers the next year or so see, promise there, I'm pretty much for the freedom of it now. As long as it's highly regulated for certain medical conditions. But I'm looking forward to this research, and hopefully we'll the House already, like I say, has voted for it twice already.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Well, our time is coming close to an end, if you can believe it. So I'm going to let you take the opportunity to address our viewers and tell them, if you want to tell them just some priorities that you have if elected, and then why they need to vote for you on November 8th.
Well, I've got a few. Of course, there's several things that's bothered me for many years, and I said I either need to do this or not. One is a veterinary school of medicine. We're a state that has cattle, horses, pet issues are continually. People take care of their pets more and more. Kentucky does not have a veterinary school of medicine, so it's always bothered me. So we have vet tech, but no veterinary school of medicine. So my goal is to, and I've talked to a lot of people about this, get Kentucky State University, UK together, along with some private enterprises, some companies I won't mention, I'm sure you'll know about them, would fund this, but have a Kentucky School of Veterinary Medicine. That would be like 3 board members from UK, 3 from KSU, 3 from the business world who would help fund this, of course. So instead of sending money to Auburn, Alabama, let's have our own. Right out here, in maybe on the interstate here on Franklin, Woodford County line, right there on the interstate. Where I love marketing, so I want people to be able to see it. So again, I would push for that, and everybody I talk to likes the idea we could do this. So again, Kentucky has always had these things we could do, but have never reached our potential. So that's my goal, is to do that. I want to push for a conference center / school of business here at K-State. I've got a place for it. I would like to see it. Of course, I could be wrong there. But we need some place you can have 400 people, for instance, come together for a conference and have breakout rooms. We have no place that I know of. You can seat 400 in a couple places, but no place for breakout rooms for a true conference. And then, of course, have a school of business there. Financial literacy and economic education is a key to what I love, teaching people how to be successful. That's what we've got to do more and more of, and be motivational about it. We finally passed 4 years ago, the financial literacy is required in all high schools. But again, it's kind of a hodgepodge of what goes on. I want to see that more embedded in the school system, even K through 12, and get more literacy, economic, and financial to actual adults as well. So again, there's a lot of things that I want to do. Most of it, again, it's about creating a better economic climate, opportunities in the state. And again, just things for Frankfort and Franklin County. If you look at, again, what we can, I work with the mayor and the judge executive, the magistrates and the commissioners. Hopefully we can get more done with, again, don't want to play politics here, but it's just reality. If you have the super majority in there, you want, for at least for a few years, I don't know what it's going to be like 10 years from now, but let's get some action and, get a stronger voice there to actually get some of these things done.
All right. You want to ask them to vote for you?
Yes, please do. Please vote for Gary Stratton for the State House of Representatives, District 57. You can go to strattonforky.com. Love to, I've got stories on there. I'm still putting out more stories in the paper and be putting them on the website about things I would like to do to make the Frankfort, Franklin County, and the Commonwealth of Kentucky a much better place to live. Thank you.
All right. And if somebody wants to find out more information about you,
just go to that website. You can call my cell phone number at 502-209-0064. All my students have it, so might as well all of Frankfort have it as well.
Okay. Well, there you go. It's out there. We sure do appreciate you coming here today and talking to us and letting our viewers hear your views on things. I know it takes a lot to run for something, and so discussing these issues is important to the people who are going to be voting. So thank you.
Thank you very much for this opportunity.
All right. And I want to thank you, viewers, for watching, because like I said, it's important to get informed. And then after you get informed, it's important to go vote on November 8th. After you vote, go home, turn it on Channel 10, and watch our live election returns. We'll be coming to you live from the county clerk's office, play-by-play. So it's election season. That means it's time to get informed. And then go vote, because your vote is your voice, and you need to use it.